Hi everyone and welcome back to Scale Studio. Today we're going to finally weather the exhausts with no pigments. That's right, rust and soot effects with no expensive pigments. What could be better? For the exhausts, I'm going to use a wide assortment of acrylic colors, which I will call out on the screen as we go. If you are trying to replicate this, make sure that you have the tank's base color, a gray color, a white, or off-white, then a low, mid, and high tone rust colors. First, I'm going to base coat the parts in this light gray color. Sadly, I can't remember its name, but any light gray paint will do. Now I'm going to take my off-white color, ivory in this case, and apply a small amount of paint to the middle of the exhaust pipe. This is simple sponge chipping, which I demonstrate in my last video, so make sure to check it out if you haven't already. I'll put a card on the screen now, and it's on my channel page if you want to finish this video first. Next I'm going to apply my darkest rust color with the sponge, in lighter amounts than the ivory but also around the top and bottom edges of the exhaust pipe. I want to make sure that the ivory chips still show through. I follow that up with the mid-tone, again with the sponge, and less than the dark rust, but also a little more generally applied. This adds further texture and contrast to the exhaust pipes. Finally, I'll use the lightest color very sparingly as an extreme highlight where most of the chips were focused. Then, to add more texture, I'll go back in with my darkest color and very lightly apply it around the largest rusty areas. Now, a question that's probably been bothering you is, how are we going to tie the effect together without pigments? The answer is, as you've probably already guessed, artist oils. I'm going to mix a lighter and darker, fairly heavily thinned rusty oil effect mixture. I did not get adequate footage of the darker one, but just mix something you're happy with. I'm first going to apply the darker mix around the center and edge rusty spots. Once dry, I'm going to wet a sponge with mineral spirits, take most of it out on a paper towel, and use the sponge to blend the oils in. A sponge, unlike a brush, leaves a mottled texture behind, which suits rust effects and, as you'll see, soot effects as well. Then I'm going to use the lighter color to spatter the exhaust pipe. This doesn't have to be too fine, it simply randomizes the oil placement. I'll then blend it with the sponge as before. After that, I'll use the darker mix and a stiffer brush to apply finer specks in a small amount. Once applied, I'll blend the specks with the sponge. Hopefully now you can see the mottled, rusty effect we have achieved. Then I'll sponge apply some of the tank base coat color to integrate them with the rest of the tank. And finally, the soot. I'm going to apply black oil paint liberally over the surfaces I want to be sooty. This includes the undersides of the rain shields, the exhaust vent, and a little way down the pipes. I'm going to use a brush to blend the hard to reach places, but after that, I'll use the sponge method. I didn't feel that there was enough soot, so I reapplied the oil paint and repeated the process. Then, because I removed some of the rust oil paints, I reapplied the earlier mixes we made. I added a little rust to the top of the ring covers as they were looking boring. Then, I base coated the armor covers in Vallejo sand yellow to match the rest of the model. To integrate it to the exhausts, I sponge applied the acrylic rust colors I used before. As you can see, it already looks good, but I applied a little of the dark rust oil mix to finish the effect off and tie the exhaust and armor covers together. And with that finished, the exhausts for this Tiger are done. If you liked this video or learned something new, please let me know by smashing that like button and leaving a comment. Also, if you haven't already, make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss upcoming videos and techniques. As always, thanks so much for watching to the end, and we'll see you next time.